Good to know. Good morning, good morning. Walked in this morning and saw the altar and felt the energy, and this is a special day where the veil is thin. If we allow, if we invite, if we really quiet ourselves, we become available. And that's really what we're talking about today. What is guiding you? And what's so important is our availability to guidance. Are we teachable? Do we listen? I have numerous times not listened to my own demise. And I'm sure some of you also have gone down a path and you were told somewhere within you, do not go down that path. But we have to dance the dance all the way out. And so we go down that path and we discover that that was not our path. And that gives us the ability to start discerning what is guidance and is guidance trustworthy. Because unless you test it, it could be just hearsay. You know, how do we get to trust our own inner guidance? I Googled the starlings over Rome. The starling birds that come in tens of millions to Rome now. It's becoming a nuisance. It's a lot of bird poop. And they come flying in and they form these first off, there's a guidance that guides them there. And they all show up around this time of year. And you can see beautiful YouTube videos. And they fly in these tight formations at amazing speeds. And there is no leader. It's this swarm that just flows and ebbs in these wonderful shapes. And it mesmerizes the people of Rome. And how does that happen? How do you get thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands, all to move so precisely and at such speed? And what the scientists have noticed now, that each bird is watchful for about 7 birds right around. And as those birds move, I move. Now, it goes both ways. As the 7 birds move, I move with them. And then we move again, and we move again. And maybe I move just by accident, and the 7 birds follow me. And the 7 birds following them follow. And so there's the followers and the leaders, and nobody knows. And maybe that's part of what's happening in our lives. Maybe there is so much guidance going along that we are guided as the birds are guided by the 7 around them. But then there's times when we are the guide for others, and we might not even know it. And it's a seamless activity. Going into the closet this morning, as we all did, or we picked out an outfit. Were we guided to pick that outfit out? Did we consciously think about it and lay it out on the bed and go, well, I don't know. Yes. But then there was the guidance that said, nope, that's not it. And I'll pick another outfit. And so there is this discernment, or there's something within us that says yes or no. And as we take a look, there is this guidance all throughout our day. All throughout our day. And most of the time, we don't notice it. It just is. If I were to ask you to move a part of your body, and I'll just have you just move a part of your body right now. Okay. How many moved their arms? How many moved their legs? Aha. or their hand. Moved your head. Okay. How did that happen? Did you consciously decide, or did it happen? Just it moved. You decided. Okay. So we have it. Some decide. Some it just moves. There's no right answer, but it's taking a look at it. And what we know from science, if you're to put your body in an MRI, and you're going to ask the person to move their arm, the impulse to go move the arm would happen before consciousness becomes aware that the arm is actually moving. So we are the witness of our bodies moving, but something is happening before we even witness it. This is the mystery. We can call this is the guidance. We can say that this is what's, in actuality, living our life. And we're observing this life that is living us. And that's a tough one because we think we're in control. If we're really in control, then stop the thinking. Stop your conscious thinking. Stop your heart. Stop all of this. No. It seems like it happens just like the swarm of birds. This symbiotic, effortless movement that's so beautifully choreographed. Now our guidance is focused by our interests. If you're interested in music, you might pick an instrument. If you're interested in botany, then you take a look at plants. In college, I started out being interested in engineering, which shifted to art, which shifted to pottery, which shifted to photography, it kept shifting, and each time it shifted, I wondered where the interest came. But it came. And if you take a look at the trajectory of your life, many times you've been interested in something only to drop it, to pick up another interest, and to become interested in something else. And how that works is the interest arises, and then the mind says, actually doesn't say anything, it picks up on that interest, and it starts feeding you, kind of like Google, the advertisements that you're interested in. Example, Susan becomes pregnant. I don't like little kids. I want no part of them. I'm not interested. Although she became pregnant, and guess what? I start noticing baby carriages and strollers and car seats and all of the stuff that goes along with it. So what the mind did was to allow the millions of bits of data that comes into the system, and it curates only what the interests, and those get through to me. So all of the race cars and everything else that's going on that I could be interested in don't get through. I'm interested in baby carriages, and that's what comes through the system. This is part of our guidance. And it's something that we're not aware of. So when we say change your thinking, it's really change your interests. And that will inform what is presented to you, what you're actually able to see. So when I was in my 20s, I became fascinated with pyramids and this whole psychic energy. This was, oh man. And it came about from my love affair of looking at dollar bills while I was in class and being distracted from what the teacher was saying. And I looked at the dollar bill and saw the pyramid on the back with the floating eye and all that magical symbolism, and I went, yeah, I want that. And so I researched pyramids. And And I knew that those pyramids were something special, and the pyramid power was abused, and that's why Atlantis sunk, and there's magical entities and all this great stuff. And I believed that because it was fun to believe. Was it true? It's a story, like so many stories. And so I'm studying with Carolyn Mace, and at the end of this big lecture hall, there's an advertisement for a trip to Egypt to see the Great Pyramids and to go inside. And I'm going, wow, I'm there. This is the Holy Grail. I mean, come on. So I run to the back. I'm the first guy to sign up. I don't consult Susan, who's sitting next to me. She wonders where I'm going. And I come back and said, I'm going to Egypt. She, what? You don't go anywhere. I'm going to Egypt. And then she became very upset with me for not inviting her and not taking her up. And so that's a whole other story. We worked it out, and we end up at the pyramids for the sunrise ceremony. This is so spiritual. And we're chanting between the pause of the Sphinx as the sun is coming up, and this is it. And we can't wait to get into the pyramid. And we get into the pyramid, and it's kind of dark and musty, and we climb around, and we have 2 hours in there in the pyramid. Spend the first hour in the Queen's chamber, go up to the King's chamber, and then each of us gets a chance to be in the sarcophagus. And I know with the pyramid power and all of that going on that something magical is going to happen. I know it. And so I lie down in the chamber, in the sarcophagus, and I start to meditate and to pray. This is it. It's going to happen. I'm going to be levitated. I'm going to the astral planes. I'm going to meet all of my spirit guides. Everything's going to happen. Nothing's happening. I am so disappointed. All of this time and energy, and what? This is like laying in my bed at home, only harder, much harder. And I get the 1 minute bell type of thing. It informs you have 1 more minute before you climb out. And something overtakes me. It's like this wave of sadness. It's like help. This helplessness of everything I thought just disappeared to the point where I surrender. I don't know. Help. If there's any message you have for me, I am open to it. I invite it all. Help. And just before the final, you got to get out, 3 words came. And it was a voice that I didn't recognize. And I know that there are voices within us that you might not recognize as sort of your own intuition. This was something different. And the 3 words, it said, "You will teach." And I knew exactly what that meant. It meant that you're not going to teach now, although you want to. You're going to have to wait because, frankly, you're not ready. And so, wow. But I was so grateful to get that message. And it was okay. Before it took me about 8 years to be ready enough to where it was time, and I knew at that time. And what this taught me was to trust that guidance, or whatever that was, and to be grateful for whatever is given. See, we want answers, and we want to trust those answers. And sometimes it can come in a variety of different ways. It can come through different messengers. You know, some of our teachers can be what Carolyn Mace would call our noble friends. Those are the ones that really piss us off. Mm-hmm. And some of those people in our lives are our greatest teachers because they show us where we are blind, where we're unconscious, where we could do much better, where we could learn greater amount of acceptance. And so I tell that story about the pyramids because as I walked out of the pyramids, I looked at this and I said, you know, I'm a builder. I could build this. It's not that hard. It's just a bunch of stones. And you have to get the placement right. And I could even figure that out. You put a stick in the ground and you watch the sun come up and down, and you can watch where the solstice is, and it's not that hard. And you can use water to level things. And they have the Nile River right over there, so that's how they got the stones in. So I figured that all out and say, okay, so there's no magic aliens and laser eyes and levitating the stones. There's a very simple answer. People did this. And they figured it out. And maybe there was a guidance that came through them that helped. As all of us receive a guidance that comes through us that helps. Lots of that, probably most of that guidance is right within our own consciousness that we've developed from this lifetime. We've developed that from our parents, from our culture, from the beliefs that we've absorbed, from our experiences, from people in our lives that have helped us, as Amy was talking about. So we have all of this information and data. And it's our interest that curates exactly what we are to focus on. So depending upon your interests, it'll also allow those materials to come to you through that interest. Now, if you're interested in demonizing the administration, you'll get lots of data to come in to demonize that. If you're more interested in producing a more equitable world, a world of kindness and cooperation, that will be curated and come through. But the trick is you have to really mean it. You know, you sort of can't fake it because the body knows. You know when you have a sincere yes or a sincere no. You know. So the message can come in many different ways. I want to talk about this one way, how, and I've told this story before, coming up to a stoplight, traveling 30 miles an hour on a motorcycle, blind intersection. You can't see any cars coming. And this voice, that voice again, stop. And it was so persistent, I mean, it was just a stop. And the mind was thinking, well, meanwhile, the body had clamped on the brakes and we were sliding to a stop towards this intersection, and boom, a car goes by, which I would have been killed. And wow, there was the trust. But I didn't trust it, my body did. And there's something about the body wisdom. The body was responding before I consciously was doing anything. It was like I was an observer on the bus and the driver of the bus had slammed on the brakes and I was a passenger. I went, wow, who's driving this bus? Who's living this life? This is bigger, much bigger. And then in Yosemite, when a bear charged, and that voice again took over and got me off the ground, and I came after the bear with a ferocity that I had never, that wasn't me. It was something so fierce and so terrifying that I was scared afterwards. I was, whoa, what was that? This is our guidance. We could call it natural instinct. We could call it a bunch of different things. But where that energy came from, I don't know. It's never come since. And my hunch is that this energy comes when it's really, really needed. And I know that when we're in real need, genuine need, something always shows up. Have you noticed? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I don't believe in God, but I believe in angels. And I can't imagine a central clearinghouse that's organizing everything. But I can imagine that there is a helper, or that someone's sort of looking out after me. And that explains the Google view of the situation with traffic that told me to stop. Because there was something that could see that something really bad was going to happen and interceded on my behalf. I'm going to call it an angel. I don't need to call it anything. I'm just grateful for the wisdom and the advice. But I know, if I think about it, there was a woman who came to our house and she wrote a book on angels. She was from Ireland, and the book is Angels in Your Hair. And she said, you know, there's angels laying around the swimming pool just waiting to be called on, waiting to be invited to play, waiting for your call. Call on them, especially when you're in need. But you can call on them anytime. And the more you, in a sense, talk to them, and it's kind of like the Day of the Dead, the more you talk to your ancestors, the more alive or real they become. This is your interest. You'll get a curated message back, in a sense, according to that interest. So, guidance, what is guiding you? All kinds of things are guiding us all the time. Lots of it's mechanical, lots of it's from our encoding, our instinctual. Some of it's from friends and what we hear. And some of it is from the beyond. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. What matters is, are we listening? Simply, are we listening? And I know that the quieter we become, the more easily we're able to hear the message. So I'm going to leave you with this affirmation. Today I have vowed to embrace my quiet and to truly listen to the guidance within. I invite the guidance when necessary, and I am grateful for all that is given. And may it begin now. And so it is.